Welcome to the Pewtercast. I am Brent Allen, your host, and this is our very first Buck in the News of the 2018 season. I am not here alone. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, my good friend, man with a brand new boombox, Rendaxed. How's it going, my friend?
It's going well. Me and my new garage sale find are doing really well. It's got a microphone jack and an auxiliary port and a place for headphones and a USB port, and it's YouTube, not YouTube. It's YouTube compatible. You can watch videos on it. By YouTube, I mean Bluetooth. Yeah. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you see what I'm talking about. If you're listening to this later, you have no idea. It's a ginormous boombox next to me. It hasn't found a home yet, so right now it's it's right next to me.
That thing looks like it might just be a movie prop. Like nothing is in it. It's just a plastic shell.
I'm gonna not try to not take that personally since it's my new toy.
No, so it's one of those things that I used to work on some concerts and stuff, and one of the things that just blew my mind the first time I ever saw it was they were unloading a big piano that they had on stage, right? Like big, huge piano. And I was unloading this thing from the truck for him, and it was so light, and I was going, "What in the world?" And I looked at it was an empty, hollow body. There was nothing in it, and then they just took like a keyboard, like an electronic keyboard, plugged it in, and just set it in like the keys part, and like that was their piano. I was like, "We're lied to." I feel lied to. So ever since then, I look at old stuff like that, and that's what comes to my brain.
All right, that's cool. I will try not to lie to you.
Well, guys, we are not here to talk about concerts, pianos, or boomboxes. We are here to talk about the Buccaneers in less than just, I mean, Ren, what are we now? We're not even 48 hours. It's like 37, 38 hours from when we're recording right now. Our beloved Buccaneers are going to be taking the field in New Orleans against the Saints. And hopefully there's not a hurricane blowing anybody else away this year. So, we're going to get some football, and this football finally matters. It's always mattered, but this one counts. This is going to go towards the end record. So, Ren, here we are kind of on the eve of the game. How you feeling as we finally are heading into the season here?
Just like everybody else, I'm ready to go. Like I'm ready for kickoff. I'm the only good thing I can say about what's the game having to wait till Sunday is at least at 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't have to wait
Yeah.
till 4. Don't have to wait till Sunday night. Don't have to wait till Monday night. It's at 1 o'clock on Sunday, so that'll be cool, and excited about that. I'm also excited about look at this new YouTube face to face.
Yeah, I know. So, shout out. I was actually just pulled it up on my other computer here. Shout out to everybody who is joining us in the YouTube chat room. We are broadcasting this live on YouTube. And so we've got this fancy new setup, and if you go over to YouTube, you guys go check out the video. You can do that as your list. A lot of you are listening to this on the podcast feed. Just go over to youtube.com/the Pewtercast, and the title of this is the Buck in the News private test stream, and we are certainly going to be using this stream for the Instantcast as we kick off our schedule of shows, our regular schedule of shows. Ren, we've got Buck in the News, which will be coming out, the weekend before the games, usually this Friday night, Saturday morning type deal. Then we'll always have our Instantcast Sunday night, 9 o'clock at Eastern Standard Time. We'll be talking about the game, we'll be giving our instant reactions, and of course, we'll be taking phone calls. And then midweek, usually around Wednesday, we'll release another episode. I don't know that one's going to be on YouTube, though. Maybe not. We're still figuring all this out. But we've got this fancy new graphic that's got everything up. It's got Ren and I side by side. The Pewtercast logo's there. We've even got like streaming information going across the bottom of the screen. So pretty legit.
Oh, you know what I just thought of?
What's
that?
that
Scroller. We could put like one of the episodes we could put DAC stats.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a very good idea, and we could definitely do that. So we got a lot of new flexibility. I want to say thank you, by the way, to all of our patrons. We've had a big boom in our patrons and over at our Patreon feed. If you guys want to check that out, you go to patreon.com/the Pewtercast. That community has grown directly because of you guys that are our patrons. you have enabled us to buy some additional software, some additional hardware that has allowed us to really upgrade the show. And I think this is going to add a whole lot to the show. We've got a lot of flexibility with the software we're using, and we're still learning how to use it. It may not necessarily be we're not going to hit it every single time, these first several times out. So, but anyway, enough of all of that, Ren. We are here to talk about the Buccaneers. Now, this is our Buck in the News show. This is the one that we do at the end of the week once all the news cycles have kind of ended and all the injury reports are out, the transactions are out. There's nothing left to do at this point but play the game. So we're now to talk about the Buccaneers. So the last episode we had was our 53-man roster cut down kind of reactions that we had there. So this whole week has gone by. We've not had an episode. So this is the first time we're getting a chance to talk about the news. So we're really thinking about what's happened here over this last week. Jameis's suspension has been enacted, and he has not been at the facility. We may or may not talk about that at all. I don't know, just about his absence. But as we start the show, let's start this where we always do. Let's start with transactions, and we'll kind of talk about some of the transactions we've had. Not a lot, but there are a couple since the 53-man cut down. And looking over here at it, it kind of as suspected, they released. They didn't, and that initial 53-man, they didn't have a long snapper. They released both of them. They saved that spot for Mitch Unrein, put him on injured reserve. He will most likely be designated to return midseason. But we did re-sign a long snapper in this one, Garrison Sanborn.
Yep, just like I said.
Anything else? Nothing else to say. And we probably shouldn't have anything else to say. The only other real transaction that we had, Will Clark, who was a man that a lot of people, ourselves included, had down as a person to make the 53-man roster. He was released in favor of the Bucs claiming Carl Nassib off waivers from the Cleveland Browns. Nassib. Thank you for correcting me on that.
Sure.
I don't know a ton about this guy except for the fact that he was waived by the Cleveland Browns. So, is this an upgrade at that position, Ren? Are you familiar with this guy at all? Or
I hope it's an upgrade at the position. You could probably easily say I was driving the Will Clark bandwagon this year. I mean, I was big on Will Clark. I thought he was the best, second best edge defender we had. I thought he was really good against the run. He could get you some pass rush. I thought he was very underrated player on that defensive line. So I was really sad when, uh, you know, what happened was Carl Nassib made the 53-man roster for the Cleveland Browns, but they claimed like 6 guys off waivers. And when you claim 6 guys, you got to cut 6 guys, and he didn't make that last cut. So as a player near the end, of this 10-man rotation, which is now I guess down to 8, because as you said, there's no Mitch Unrein and of course no Vita Vea this week against the Saints. It's really an 8-man. So I mean, you look at us, he's huge. He's like 6'7", like I don't know, two whatever he is, but he's a really tall guy. His senior year at Penn State, Penn State, he had like 15.5 sacks and all these tackle for losses and won just about every defensive lineman award there was. It ended up being, I believe, a 3rd-round pick from the Cleveland Browns.
When did you say he came in the league? How long has he been around?
2016.
Okay, so a couple years.
I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he played with Donovan Smith and Chris Godwin.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Cool.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so he's been around for a couple of years. He's got like 5.5 sacks, but if you watch videos on him, really, it's like the quarterback's flushed out by somebody else and sort of falls into his lap
grabs him.
Type of sacks. The 5.5, 3.5, maybe even 4 of them are those type of sacks. We're gonna find out, and this one's a little shot at you, Brent. How everyone talked about how Brinson Buckner, he's the new defensive coordinator, possibly the new head coach. Here it comes. Well, here you go. You got a young guy that's got all the tools. Another young guy in the Buccaneers pipeline. Because we don't have many, defensive linemen on first contracts. There's Vea and there's Noah Spence. That's it. So here's another young guy. Got 2 years left on his rookie contract, and we'll see what Brent Buckner can do with him. He's got the tools, he's got the skills, he's got the size, he's got the length. He just doesn't have the game. Doesn't really seem like he has a game plan rushing the passer. Yeah. So to button it up, I'm really sad Will Clark's gone, but I'm excited to see what this kid can do. And to rebutton it up, Cleveland has a really good defensive line, so
Hmm.
don't just think that the Cleveland Browns cut a guy that they didn't win a game last year. They're garbage, but they've spent a lot of their picks along the defensive line, and they've got a nice a lot of high draft choices, a lot of money in that defensive line. So just because Cleveland let him go doesn't necessarily mean that he can't make another NFL team.
Awesome. Well, I certainly look forward to seeing more out of this guy and seeing what he can do. And we'll get later on in the show to our potential inactives. It'll be interesting to see, I think, if he is actually active for this game coming up. All right, well, that's going to do it for the transactions. So let's move over, Ren. This is kind of a spot where, we realized this last year that, as we go through our Instantcast show and then we even do our final thoughts and our grades where we're talking about, uh, the game and all that kind of stuff. We never really have a chance to talk about kind of the headlines that are happening in and around our favorite teams. So this is our spot to do that.
Mhm.
Were there any headlines over the course of this last week that jumped out at you that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, that it.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't. I
Go.
think it's one of those. I was about to repeat myself yet again. I was like, no.
Nah,
Yeah.
nah, I'm good. I've already said it once.
Yeah.
Uh, I guess the big headline was Carl Nassib. Today, when we get to the injury report, we'll talk about what else happened.
Hmm.
That was big. The Bucks haven't
Are,
released
are
their
you talking about
captains.
Grimes?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think we can actually go ahead and talk about that because not only is that an injury report thing, that is a headline, that deserves its.
It's a good point. Plus, yeah, we have a lot of talking points about actually what the Bucks are going to do. So,
Mhm.
uh, let's reset that. I think that you say go ahead, say.
Um,
I think Grimes is probably the biggest headline out there, the biggest news. Apparently, it's a groin pull.
a
I've
new groin
seen
pull,
I've
too.
seen people
Yeah.
say that it's serious, and people are talking about, well, a 35-year-old cornerback with a groin pull is, he might be missing some time, which I can see.
Mhm.
Brent Grimes, a little freak athlete, maybe if he wouldn't do so many handstands, like a circus freak, or kick the football around like a hacky sack, like some college hippie, maybe he
Mhm.
wouldn't hurt himself. No, I'm just kidding. I did.
I got
I'm
to
just
tell you,
kidding.
I heard that he had a new groin injury, and my first thought was, "Damn it, Miko."
Yeah, I'm not going to touch that. Um, So, I guess the next logical thing is to look like, okay, what are they going to do at cornerback against Drew Brees in, like you said, 36 hours,
Right.
37, 38 hours? And my initial reaction is what you do is you take Hargraves and play him on the left hand side where Grimes was.
Mhm.
It's arguably that Grimes had his best game as outside corner when he subbed in for Grimes last year. And then you put
Yeah.
Carlton Davis
Yep.
in Vernon's spot where he was going to be anyway when they went to nickel. And then when they do go to nickel, I would leave Vernon outside and play MJ Stewart at the nickel instead of moving Vernon in the nickel and putting Ryan Smith in his spot. So just to make it a little clear, I would put Carlton Davis and Vernon starting the whole entire game, playing the whole entire game. Vernon on the left, Carlton Davis on the right, and then when the Saints go to nickel, which is going to be a lot,
Mhm.
put MJ Stewart in the slot. That's what I would like to see. But
Mhm.
I think us as fans are probably a little more down on Ryan Smith and what he can do on the field than the coaches are.
Yeah.
But like I said, we'll find out in 30 plus hours.
Yeah, and I mean the thing about Ryan Smith that I think is at least worth noting is to remember he has effectively a full season of starts under his belt. Now, he certainly did not shine in the preseason at all. He really did not. It didn't seem like he had a very good preseason, but he he uh he does have a bit of experience. So, I can see why they might be a little bit more high on him than say even a lot of the fans are. But man, I'm with you. I really am with you. I think Vernon and I beat that drum last year a lot that Vernon's best game was when Grimes was out and he was playing on the left side. And it gave me enough hope that I wanted to see him over there a lot more. And by the way, next year when Grimes is gone, because uh, I mean, I don't. First of all, I don't know if the Buccaneers are going to want him yet another year, and even if they do, he's he's looking at retiring. He almost retired this. He almost retired 2 years ago,
Right.
and so let's just go ahead and kind of scratch him for the 2019 season, right?
Yeah.
This is the group we're really looking at: of Vernon Hargraves, MJ Stewart or Carlton Davis.
Yeah, these are guys. They're all high draft picks, so
yeah,
I doubt the Bucks next. I mean, no, we're looking way into the future and injuries and how they play, blah blah blah. But everything, Carlton Davis and MJ Stewart play like rookies. Vernon Hargreaves improves like we think he's going to. This will probably be the starting
cornerback
corners
unit
for next year.
Yeah,
So the
exactly.
future is now, basically,
Yeah,
is what's happening.
Exactly. And I think that's what's important for us as Bucks fans to remember. Like Brent Grimes is going to be, it's going to be really nice to have him when we get him on the field. I think we're better with him on the field. But I don't know. I'm kind of happy. Not happy. That's not the right word. I'm interested to see what happens with this group, given really what they are. So,
right. And if they play well, you're like, okay, no problem. If they all get toasted, everyone will be like, come on, Brent, we need you. Come on.
Right. And for clarity, you're talking about Brent Grimes, not Brent Allen, because I'm not getting out there in cornerback.
That's correct. Yes. even though you can take up some space out there, it's a wide field.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, your better bet is to put me where Vita Vea is supposed to be, not back where Grimes is supposed to be. So,
yes,
I can plug a hole.
That would be the safe play.
Right. All right. So Brent Grimes came in. Any other headlines that jumped out at you that you wanted to talk about at all?
Honestly, not really. I mean, we could talk about how Vita is not going to play.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we could talk about that, but that's not really shocking to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we could sit there and hypothesize when he's going to come back. I guess the best thing you can say about it is that they didn't do a Mitch Unrein, so they think he's going to be back before week 8. So, I honestly, I expect him back next week for the Philly game, the home game.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Some of the people in the chat room are saying that he was actually participating in practice selectively today. Although, and we'll get to this later, he was listed as a did not participate. So he's going through the processes of what it takes to come back. The Mitch Unrein thing, touch on that. A lot of people and myself, I kind of got a little miffed. I'm like, come on, man, he's got a concussion. I know those things are a deal, but my word, like how long does it take to come back from a concussion? And it certainly shouldn't take a half a season, because this is starting to have that ring of a J.R. Sweezy type deal. But I went and did just a little bit of research because I was curious about what it actually takes to come back from a concussion. And turns out for normal people, you and me, a normal recovery time is anywhere between, like, at minimum 45 days, so a month and a half, right? Usually all the way out to about like 6, 7, or 8 months. It kind of falls in that area. The average length of a player in concussion protocol last year was 2 games. They were out for 2 games. So even if you bookend it, that's only 3 weeks. So, I don't want to say that the NFL puts people through the concussion protocol and lets them come back too early. These guys are freak athletes, and they take them through those processes. But this may just be a more serious concussion,
Well, it's like you said, we don't know what goes into an NFL protocol as far as returning from concussions, but they seem to come back a lot quicker than any other sport.
Right.
I mean, I've seen all-stars in baseball miss a whole season, a season and a half. I've seen, all-stars in hockey. The franchise guys on these teams miss a whole season because of a concussion.
And their seasons are longer than the football season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't really, you just don't see it in football.
Right.
I guess the positive thing about Miss Unrein is that, they don't, I guess it's the flip side of Vita. Like, he's going to be out extended weeks, but he's not going to be out 8 or more. At least we'll see. I mean, because you don't have to put the destination tag on him right now like you used to in past years. I think last year was the first time you can put all these guys in IR once they make the 53-man roster, and you can pick and choose who you bring back.
Right.
Before, once they went on IR,
right? I think they've limited. You designate 2, yeah.
Yeah. Before you had to designate the people as soon as they went on.
That's right.
Yeah, who they are. So there's a little more wiggle room there. It's just the reason I don't think it's like a J.R. Sweezy thing, because we were counting on J.R. Sweezy to start,
right?
And we weren't with Unrein. Unrein was nose tackle, 1 gap behind Bo Allen 2.
Right.
And now with all the flexibility they have on the defensive line with JPP moving inside and Will Golson moving inside and even Vinny Curry moving inside. I don't think the Mitch Unrein missing him
Mm-hmm.
is going to be as bad as. I don't think it's going to hurt that much. You're really not going to notice it. And one of the reasons it'll be easy not to notice it because we haven't seen him play.
Right.
So,
Right.
so there's nothing to compare it to. Like, oh wow, Mitch Unrein would have clogged up that hole, or Mitch Unrein would have got to the quarterback there. We can't say that because we haven't seen him play.
Yeah, I just put a curse on him when he was a jerk to me. That's all. No.
All right.
No, absolutely not.
Hashtag blame Brent.
Yeah, hashtag blame Brent.
Not cornerback. Blame Brent. Nose tackle.
Right. I still blame Miko. No. Anyway, you said a word there. You said flexibility. And, I remember when we were talking about all these guys that we brought in upon the defensive line and then when they drafted Vita, all that kind of stuff. The phrase that I used is I said, what Jason Light has done is basically injury-proof this defensive line. And here we are. We've had 2 significant injuries to this defensive line. And, while I'd like to see Mitch Unrein in that rotation, I'd like to see Vita Vea in that rotation. Like, our defensive line isn't shot. I mean, can you remember last year, like, if we would have lost 2 of our main guys for our defensive line, like,
but they're not the main guys.
But they're not the main. That's what I mean. But last year they might have been.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these guys would have. So I'm just saying. Kudos
it would have been like losing Clinton McDonald and God, who's a backup tackle last year? Because you had Baker and you had, I guess, Ayers.
Yeah,
he put a lot of
yeah, probably Ayers. I mean,
No.
it's not a 1-to-1 correlation, but I mean, probably more like an Ayers and a Clinton McDonald or I mean, we did lose Noah Spence last year. I'm just saying, it's
it's a lot easier to absorb an injury.
Yes, and we've absorbed 2.
We're absorbing 2, and they got that guy Worthy who, like, I'm excited to see. I hope he gets to play some time. I thought his get off and penetration was pretty impressive for a guy that can't find a job. Mm-hmm. And then once again, we'll see what Nassib does, or Brenton Buckner how fast he can get him up to speed and see what he can do. Because, like I said, he's long and tall and athletic and can bend, but he needs to get a game plan together.
Yeah. So kudos to all of that. So all right, so Mitch Unrein, Vita Vea, Brent Grimes. Anything else? Any other major headline in the chat room, guys? Is there any headlines that you guys had out? You guys want to hear us talk about? Go ahead and drop those in the chat room. We'll keep an eye out for those. But man, anything else on your side?
Well, I'd like to, this is also a part where we usually and will be for going forward is, and you might be bringing it up now, so I hope I don't squash it, is the interviews. Mm-hmm. What's cool about this year is the press conference, I guess I should say, instead of interviews, is that once a month the assistants have to be available to the media. It's a new NFL rule.
Ooh, okay.
That's why you got the George Warhop interview like last week, I believe.
All right.
Was it last week, or it might have been early this week? But that's how you got George Warhop. It's new in NFL rule. Every team has to make all the assistants available at least once a week. So that'll be something fresh and new. But as far as like what we like, you could talk about what we got out of the press conferences. Mm-hmm. There's really not, because it's all the same. Since we haven't played a game yet,
right? It's
all the same questions basically we've been hearing all preseason, all training camp. It's the same things, mm-hmm. Who's going to call the plays? None of your business. Who are the captains? None of your business. It's like
although to be fair, I don't think we've asked about the captains before this week.
That's true. It was asked once. It was asked earlier. It wasn't. Yeah, you're right. It was twice this week. It wasn't all training camp, but it's so there wasn't really anything you could pull out of those press conferences that was interesting. So mm-hmm. I think that's it. I'm trying to think of anything that sort of piqued my interest. And the last thing I guess would have been that now we're going to hear, if the reporters track somebody down, that we'll be able to hear from the assistant coaches.
Yeah. It'll. I'll be interested to look forward to that. I got to be honest, I didn't listen to all of the press conferences and all that kind of stuff this week. I kind of caught varying pieces here and there, but the big thing I think that I saw, and to go back to that captain's thing, is, man, Dirk got real snippy today with Greg Allman like, and this was beyond. You remember earlier when we were there, he kind of fired off one at Greg. It was a press conference. You and I were there when we had our credential day, um, and there was kind of talk of like Cutter was almost just joking around a little bit, but it maybe didn't come off that way so much. This one
Right.
didn't
Yeah. Yeah.
seem to
Yeah.
be that way, you know.
There was a
Um,
little discussion in the media room about it.
yeah, yeah, just a little bit, a little bit. So, but and even some of the people in the chat room are bringing it up. So, I don't know that it's anything big for us to talk about,
I
but
didn't
I mean,
mind it. I didn't mind it. It's like there are
eh,
certain things that you got to learn. There's certain things that Cutter is not going to talk about and gives two craps about.
yeah,
One is injuries, fights, special teams, which it means kicker, punter. Like he doesn't want to talk about him, doesn't give a crap about him. They got one job, do it. There's nothing to discuss. And then now apparently it's captains this year. I mean, when he blew him off the first time he asked it, and I don't have a problem with the coach going, That's none of your
did he blow
business."
him off? Did he blow him off the first time? Because I didn't hear. That's the
Yeah,
only time
yeah.
I've heard
It
him
was
actually ask
like
that
one of those
question.
we haven't voted yet. Real short.
Uh huh.
And who knows if he was telling the truth or not. But
Right.
yeah, I don't have that. I don't know. And it just I just find it odd how sort of reporter, like Buck reporter, beat reporter Twitter,
Uh huh.
kind of gets in an uproar every time they feel Cutter gets a little snippy with them.
Yeah. The
I mean,
thing.
everybody has to chime in on it, like everybody,
Right.
and it's like, what? Okay, you asked the question. He said, "None of your business. Move on. Who cares?"
Right. The only thing I think that got me was when I think it was Greg who said back to him something to the effect of, "Well, the fans, the fans are kind of wanting to know. That's why we're asking." And he
Right.
just kind of popped back. And he said, "Who cares? Just watch the game," or
Yeah.
so something of that nature. And I get where he's going, but I think Greg was right. Like it is a question. Honestly, I hadn't even thought about it until they brought up the question. But
Yeah.
I'm
So you were
interested to
dying
see.
to know.
Yeah, like I'm interested to see who the captains are. Now, had I known earlier that he had said we haven't voted yet, then okay, cool, that's fine. Maybe they'll vote, maybe they won't. But to just kind of pop off like that, like I almost felt like he's like that was Dirk kind of even saying to the fans, like, you don't, you shut up and just watch the game, you silly fans, and let us do like
Oh,
that's
you're taking it personal.
yeah, like it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Now, I also am the person who says that offense is always chosen, and I guess I kind of chose that offense, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. It's really not. It just,
I
it
think I
was
think
something that blew up
I think we
today.
should talk about the long snapper some more because
No, let's not. Let's move on.
that's a better conversation than this.
Yeah, let's move on.
Your cutter hurt my feelings.
Mhm, whatever. You got cuttered.
You got cutter.
All
Yeah, I
right.
thought it was a big deal.
All right. Anything else you got for us? Because I don't really have anything else. There wasn't really much in the news this week other than Jameis. I mean, I guess that's the other thing, right? Jameis wasn't there. Mike Evans was like, "Hey, it's kind of weird not seeing him in the building," and everybody's like, "Oh, it's all weird." But I mean, he'll be
It's been
back.
talked about on a few podcasts, but I think we should repeat it here where uh you always knew he wasn't going to be there, but Mike Evans said, yeah, he pulls in the parking lot and he always like parks right next to him.
Mm-hmm.
And Jameis, of course, always beats him to $1, or what is it now? Florida Hospital Affidavit Center. What is it now?
Affidavit, Advent Health.
Advent Health Care Center.
Yeah.
$1 at Advent Health Facility. I don't know what it is. I'm still calling it $1. And James's car wasn't there when Mike Evans and it was kind of like, huh, like, oh yeah, he's not here, because I would willing to bet that there's probably less than 5% of the time of all the players that have been on the Bucks since Jameis has been with the team that if they were in the building, he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's just kind of a guy that's if you're there, he's there, and it just becomes natural that you think he's always going to be there. So I don't think it's a big deal. I just thought that was a cool way, not a cool way, but sort of a way to look at how people are taking it when Mike Evans noticed, like, hey, like his car's not there, like he's not here. But
Right.
besides that, yeah, we know the deal.
Yeah, we know he's not there. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for the headlines. There just really wasn't much. I expect there to be more as the season goes on, on a week to week basis, and we'll see. We'll see as that comes out. So, all right, let's move on to the injury report. Got it pulled up here. We'll start with New Orleans Saints because theirs is honestly it's smaller. They have two guys that honestly I've never heard of before. Offensive lineman, a Jerome Bushrod and a Andrus Pete. Both of them are
What?
listed.
Bushrod and Peter out?
Yeah. Well, they're not out. They're
Wonder-
listed as questionable, which questionable means
Oh,
likely to
okay.
play.
I'm
So,
just yeah.
yeah.
I didn't even go and look on their depth chart to see if these guys were starters or not because I think they're both going to play. I don't even know if they're going to make the 46 man,
Right.
active roster. Yeah, they're healthy,
Yeah,
so they're ready.
that's the don't know, don't care. I mean, I guess their big thing, I guess, going into it is, their running back guy, he's suspended too. What's
Mark
his name?
Ingram.
Yeah, Ingram. So, but other than that, they're all healthy. Our guys, of course, we've already talked about Vita Vea. He is going to be out. Did not participate all week. Brent Grimes and Devontae Harris, a cornerback who's real low on the depth chart. They're
Yeah,
both listed as.
we actually got him from the Saints.
That's right. That's
We
right.
picked him up from the Saints, so I guess he didn't give any intel, so they shot him with a tranquilizer dart, and now
They'll
he's
release
not
him on Monday.
exactly.
That'll actually be something, guys. Let's mark this Monday or Tuesday if they release Devontae Harris, like because there was some speculation if they brought him in just for intel. Um,
We've said that many. Every time we bring in somebody from another team, we always say that. And people even asked Cutter last year, and he said, "Yeah, we sit him down, we ask him, but he's like the stuff they can tell us is lacking." I don't know if he was blowing smoke up our butt. I just don't think that it's actually a thing that really helps a team. You know what I mean? I just you can try it, but I just don't.
yeah,
I don't know how much more they can help you. If he gets cut, I'm not going to say, "Oh, it's because we needed the intel." I think it's because there's injuries somewhere, and I think I don't know. That's a good debate. Devontae Harris or Ryan Smith? Which one of these guys is hanging on by a string more?
I don't know. I would. Well, see, here's the thing: we don't know anything about Devontae Harris. Like we don't. The
The
coach,
Saints were not upset that he left.
right? And
It would be like honestly, it would be like if we cut Ryan Smith and the Saints picked him up. We'd be like, okay, good luck with that.
yeah, have fun,
Yeah, yeah, have
Swaggy
fun with
Baker,
that.
deuces. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So that was kind of their
Right.
reaction. So I mean, I saw him a couple times. He flashed a little bit in some preseason games, but I also saw him, some catches that where he wasn't in phase, which is
Hmm.
a football way of saying, he wasn't in position or wasn't in position to make a play on the ball. You got burnt. Um, so I saw both things from him. So I don't know.
Yeah.
As a fifth corner or sixth corner, I guess I'm.
He's a special teamer at that point, honestly. All right, so but both of those guys are considered doubtful, which in this system means probably will not play. Donovan Smith, however, was limited all week, was full participation today. He is questionable, which means he is likely to play.
He'll play.
Moving in,
He'll play.
he'll play. Yeah,
He'll
Donovan
play.
Smith. I think the thing we've kind of heard, it's been brought up, is that he his pride is a little bit here. Like he's never missed a start in his entire career so far, and damn it, he ain't about to start now. And you can almost hear that in him. He ain't about to start. So he'll be out there. He'll be playing. And glad to have him back. He's one of those guys. He's one of those whipping boys, historical whipping boys of the Buccaneers. But man, when he's not there, people are like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, what are we gonna do?"
Did you notice that as soon as he went
Sure.
down in practice, it was a meltdown. Like, oh my God, our left tackle's down. What are we gonna do?
Right.
Yeah, and normally it's like, oh, Donovan Smith, he's so bad. Blah, blah, blah. He's not bad. He's just not consistent.
Right.
But we're hoping. I mean, he's young too. He's Jameis's age. He came in the league at 20 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. They came in together.
Sophomore,
sure. Yeah.
man. He's only 23 years old.
Yeah. And he's huge. And he won my daughter's heart, which makes me like him even more. By the way, Allie and Donovan Smith show is back. Can't wait to check that out.
On TV.
On TV, of all things, yeah. And
I don't even know what channel. I'm sure it's going to be Channel 8.
Is it going to be actual TV or is it going to be like Buccaneers TV? Because their video channel this year has been on point.
Yeah. Even though here's something to talk about, which I didn't like. They had their first oh God, what do they call it? Let me look it up. Where Casey and Scott sort of talked to somebody in the Saints organization, and they sort of, hey, what do you expect from the game? Like, how are the Saints doing? I'm gonna look it up right now. I didn't like it was Casey and Scott's attitude was more, oh, I hope we got a chance to play him, and it's like I hope we have they were making it sound like we don't even belong on the field with it, called Crossfire.
Huh.
They have new graphics and it looks good, but like their attitude was like, well, oh, it's Drew Brees. I hope we got a shot type of deal. And the other guy wasn't being, we're the Saints. We're gonna roll over you because you guys are the Bucks. You guys stink. He was
Uh-huh.
just stating facts, and they just kept, kind of like going, yeah, I agree with that. Oh God, Drew Brees is great. Cam Jordan, he's. We hope we can stop him. Gosh, it's gonna be a tough order for us. And I'm just like, it just sat with me wrong. It
Interesting.
just
Huh.
it's like they're rolling over and showing their belly.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm like, I don't like, don't do that again.
I don't know. Well, I haven't heard that. We'll have to go back and listen and
Yeah,
see
it's
about
called
that.
Crossfire. It's on the
Yeah.
app.
But the Ali and Donovan show, though, to go back to that. By the way,
Sorry.
I think first reported right here on the Pewtercast by our very own Rendaxed.
I don't know if I first reported it, since I learned it off TV.
No, didn't you got that out of one of your media days there, right? Like you asked somebody and they're like, just wait. Just wait.
No, I saw that when Casey and Scott were doing
Uh-huh.
one of their weekly,
Oh,
where
okay.
you go on Facebook and ask them questions.
Uh-huh.
Casey said, if you're a fan of Allie and Donovan, just wait, you're going to be happy.
Oh, okay.
And then during one, I think it was the second game, they talked to Donovan on the sidelines, and they sort of a little bit broke it. Like, hey, you're going to have a show. And Donovan
Mm-hmm.
said, yeah, I'm glad they didn't say we just have a face for radio, which made me say that, no, they're going to be on TV. And then
There
I
you
said
go.
it here on the pod, a couple pods back.
Yeah.
And so now here we are. Probably Channel 8. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be Channel 8 or it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be something at $1.
I don't know. We'll see.
But it's gonna be video.
We'll
I
see.
hope
We'll
so,
see.
because those guys are funny.
All right. Well, to finish out the injury report, so we can move on. Vin Curry, Evan Smith, MJ Stewart, all on the report, but they will all play. Their game status is not in question. Um, so that's it. Just to wrap that up. All right. Well, Ren, this brings us to the end of our first Buck in the News show. We've got just one more thing left, and that's predicting our 7 inactive people. 53-man roster, only 46 play, or at least are dressed. So who do you got as our 7 inactives? I'll give you Vita Vea. Let's go ahead and assume, at least for me, Brent Grimes and Devontae Harris will be out.
Right.
That leaves 4 more names.
Yeah, I forgot we did this, so I'm doing this off the top of my head. Let's see. I think all the running backs. I think all the wide receivers, all the defensive linemen, because we already got 2 out. The offensive line, I think, so they're gonna dress 7, because Cutter said that 1,000 times.
Uh-huh.
So how many more do I get rid of? 4?
4. Yeah. So
Okay,
give
so
two
3 are
linemen. 2 linemen will take care of 2 of those.
3, because we have 10.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna say Geddes,
Yep.
he, and Wester's playing. They only said they only keep how many? They only keep 7, so it's
Yep.
got to be Kappa.
Yeah, it's got to be Kappa. I'm with you on that. I'm 100% with you.
They're keeping Evan Smith and they're keeping Wester for
Right.
sure.
Right.
So Kappa's going to be inactive. So that makes us to 5, and we need how many? We need 6.
Yeah. So you got one more.
We need 7.
Yeah, you got 1 more. We need 7. You get 1 more.
Okay. Defensive line. I said they're going to cape. Cornerback. They have to keep corners now.
Yeah.
Safety. Would they go?
They only have 4 safeties. No.
Linebacker. So, Sitchy.
Possible. See, I've got Carl Nassib, just being new to the organization.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Yeah. The other one, I've got 1 more for you, though.
All right.
Either Jacquizz Rodgers or Ronald Jones.
I thought about running back, but they're not.
Yeah.
Because we know Wilson's going to return kicks because of Tom.
Hey, I was going to say, there's a headline we didn't talk about.
Oh, well, I didn't really. Well, it's because I was so sure it was going to happen.
Sure.
Right. I was on Bucks Brigade's pod just yesterday, and I said if Sean Wilson is going to make the 43-man cut, I will bet you he's going to return kickoffs. Put it in stone. And then while we were recording that, Bassinger came out on Twitter and said he's going to return kicks.
And I think the reason why that was a thing was because on the depth chart that they released, Jacquizz Rodgers is still listed as the number 1 returner, with Sean Wilson as one of his backups. So
Yeah, and
Sean Wilson and
Humphreys is the
Deshaun
number one
Jackson,
punt
actually.
returner.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the Nassib thing. I don't think they're going to keep Rodgers because he's going to sort of sub in as their third down back right now because of his pass protection skills, and they're not going to sit Ronald Jones.
Sure.
Like he has too nice of a skill set not to try to tap into. Yeah. So we're going to go with 4 linebackers, I guess, because I know I'm forgetting one. Oh yeah, Lynch.
Yeah, you got Cam Lynch, Jack Sitchy, and then you got Taylor.
They only got 5 on the team, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so we'll keep Lynch and Sitchy. But I like Nassib as well, but I'm going with Sitchy.
You're going with Sitchy? All right. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out on Sunday, guys. Find out tomorrow as most of you guys are listening to this deal. Well, Ren, that's going to close us out here for our very first Buck in the News show of the 2018 season. I want to say thanks to everybody who joined us over in the YouTube chat room and to all of you guys listening to us on the podcast feed. Hello. Please be sure to come back and join us Sunday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We'll be talking about the game. That will be our Instantcast show. The phone lines will be open. We'll get all this situated, and we'll be broadcasting. Got our fancy new graphics and stuff over on YouTube, so we can't wait for that. And then later we'll have our regular show coming out during the midweek. And here we are into the season, so can't wait. Ren, I'll toss it over to you, man. Any final thoughts as we head into the game, and where can people out there find you on the internet?
This is going to. I think the Saints game is going to be. We didn't do any prediction on the Saints game. Is this the show we do that on?
We don't really do predictions on this show. You can if you want. If you want to drop a prediction out, go for it.
We don't like tease the game or anything like that.
Not usually. We haven't before in the past. Let's put it that way.
All right. Well, I think to be able to win this game against the Saints, it's going to be pass rush, but we have to get them off the spot, and I think the pass rush has to come from the middle. Because if you pass rush Reese on the outside, he's going to climb the pocket. So the pass rush has to come from up front, getting me off his spot right and left and backwards, not necessarily getting off his spot forwards because he's fine doing that. And then I think it's all about Alvin Kamara. If they can wrangle him as far as rushing, I know he's going to get his yards in the passing game, but as far as rushing, if they can hold him to like 50, 55 yards, and stuff him like 8 out of 10 times when he runs the ball, I think we got a really good chance. It's all going to be on the defense's shoulders. I really think so. This game. Alan Decker, one of our Patreons, asked in the chat room that he thought Cross might be inactive. Yeah, exactly. He's their starting fullback is basically what it is. They're carrying 3 tight ends and a fullback.
Yeah.
He's their starting fullback. He's in there on just about every run play. So I do not think Alan Cross is going to be inactive, but we'll see. But he's not. So yeah, I guess that's it. I'm not really worried about Ryan Fitzpatrick. Turn over the ball. He has lots of weapons. Get it in their hands. Let the playmakers make the play. Just make a smart decision with the ball. You got to be a point guard, man. Just dish the ball out. Just let them do their thing. So I guess those are my final thoughts. This feels a little shorter than normal. Is this shorter than normal?
We're right there.
Right there? Okay. Yeah. Anyway. Best way to find me is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers or Bucks football.
And I am Brent Allen Live across all the social medias. You guys can find me out there. And you can find the show at The Pewtercast on Twitter or at Facebook.com/The Pewtercast, YouTube.com/The Pewtercast for our brand new YouTube channel that we are rolling out. We've been experimenting with it through the training camp season, and here we are. So excited for all the new things that this brings. And join us, guys. Patreon over there. Just search for The Pewtercast, and that'll connect you into us over there. Always rate and review, leave us iTunes, send us emails to thepewtercast@gmail.com because we do have that fan interaction segment. And, if we get enough emails and questions and things like that, we'll actually release a 4th episode during the week where we tackle all that kind of stuff. So you guys send those in, and we'll definitely be looking for those. Can't wait to talk to you guys about the game on Sunday night, 9 o'clock during the Instantcast show. You guys are awesome. We love getting to talk with you guys. And until after the game, we'll talk to you guys then. Go Bucks.